Hey, how's it going? This is Grant Haddon with Haddon Farms. We're out here today. Come out here, I don't know if you can see him, how good that gupper is, but checking on the cows. Anyways, so I want to do a video. I saw a video the other day. The guy was, for those of you who don't know, I have cows and I'm a mortgage loan originator also. I would love to do this full time, but it doesn't pay enough just yet. But I saw a video the other day and the guy said, he was talking about selling, basically seed stock or, just, I think he basically ran what you'd call a cow-calf operation. But, he said something in the video that kind of struck me. He said that, it's very hard. You can take a cow to the sale barn and it's hard to differentiate, what you have. And so he said he believes that whoever's going to do well in the next 10 to 15 years, whether it's selling beef or whether it's selling cows, whoever tells kind of the best story. And I kind of agree with that. Everything's about how you market yourself, whether you market, what I have, which would be grass-fed genetics with South Pole cattle, or whether you market feeder cattle or, however you market your cows. Well, my story, it's not super interesting, but I kind of want to share it. So I grew up on this land right here that you're looking at. You can see my uncle's cows there in the distance. And my house that I grew up in and that my father grew up in is right up the road. Not right up the road, right across the pasture. So, and this is one of my favorite spots. I thought it'd be cool to shoot a video here. I always said if I build a house, it'd probably be right here. But, so long story short, my father always had cows. I never cared for them. I always told people, if it was up to me, we'd sell them all. We'd plant pine trees and oak trees and I could deer hunt, turkey hunt all I wanted to. And what are we in, 2023? Now y'all excuse the wind, I don't have a microphone, but in 2020, he suffered a massive heart attack while he was deer hunting. And he shot a buck, and he called me. We went to go to recover the animal, and the animal was not completely dead. We ended up having to call the dogs, and after walking probably close to a mile, right where we found the deer, he had a heart attack there on the spot. So, I was there, and my cousin was with me. There were several other people with us, the two guys with the dogs, and we done all we could. I performed CPR on my dad for probably 30 minutes till we got him in the truck all the way to where we were able to give him an ambulance, and it was not enough. But I'm saying this to say that, to say this. I hated cows. Before he died, which was 4 years ago, 2023, he died in November of 2020. I never would have pictured myself trying to sell beef, trying to raise cows, anything of that nature. And it's kind of funny how stuff like that kind of comes around. I always would tell people when it was time to work cows, it would always put mine and my father's relationship in jeopardy because I knew he was going to chew me out pretty bad. Well, a year or so passed after he had passed away, and the cows that he owned, we ended up selling. Now they're still here. They're right across in the next pasture, but we sold them to my uncle. And well, my stepmother sold them to my uncle. But that kind of just struck a chord with me. I kind of felt, I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. It's just, I'd always known, I'd ride by these pastures, even though I didn't want to mess with them. I knew that they were his cows. And them not being his cows anymore, even though they're my uncle's, and we run cows right here together. I mean, these are his right here, sitting here looking at me. It just, I don't know, it triggered something in me, an interest in me, or a fire, or whatever you want to call it, to try to go off and go on my own. Now, I like to work out, I like to eat healthy, and COVID really kind of opened up a lot of people's eyes to how broken the food system is, and how, I don't know, just how messed up how we get our food is and how it's grown. And I think COVID, even though it may have been a terrible thing, I didn't have any family losses from it. And I know I'm ranting, but y'all know me, I'm gonna tie all this up. If you haven't seen the first video, go and watch the first one. It's like 9 minutes long, and I just rant and rant and rant. But COVID really changed the way people look at their food, and you know, buying from a local producer, buying beef from a local producer, more so was kind of trendy, I feel like, before 2020. And then I feel like after COVID, it's much more of a staple and people realize how important it is. So all that to say this, you know, my interest in eating healthy and, you know, having a healthy body and, you know, healthy mind and providing healthy meat for my family, you know, outside of deer hunting, I felt that, you know, beef that I can watch and know what happens from the cow from the time it hits the ground, calf hits the ground, to the time it is processed and in my freezer was a very good way for me to know what was going on with that animal. Now, on top of that, I am a hunter, but I also care for animals. So another thing is, you know, animal welfare is very important to me. So, you know, I mean, a cow, the typical model I feel like nowadays is a cow is grown and raised by maybe some small producer. He's taken to a sale barn, he's shipped out west on a trailer to Kansas and Nebraska, thrown on the feedlot, fattened up, and then sent to a packer and killed and distributed across the United States. I don't know if you've ever spent, I never have had a personal experience, but if you've ever sat on a aluminum trailer and drove from Georgia to Nebraska, I can imagine it's probably pretty stressful. So that's something else important. To wrap all that up, I never thought I'd be where I am today, and like I said, I think I've only been doing this for a year. I've been selling beef for about a year, and I've had my cows very recently. I bought 25 50% Beefmaster, 50% South Pole from a ranch in Texas, and I have a registered South Pole bull that I will pair them with. So I'm fairly new to the game. I've always been around cows my entire life. I am, you know, not a novice at it, but I am by no means a expert. So that's kind of my story. And before I lost my dad, I lost my mom in a plane crash. That was about 2 years before that. So, you know, you find motivation, I guess, in random dark places that you really wouldn't expect. And those dark places, I go there a lot, but, you know, they keep me pushing forward, and they bring me on to, you know, new ventures that I never would have dreamed I'd want to be a part of. So that's my story. You know, there's a lot, I'm not trying to, this is not a story about poor Grant. You know, there are a lot of other people who've had it way worse than me. Losing two parents and two years apart was never something that I dreamed that I'd have to go through. You hear about it, read about it, and, you know, you think it can never happen to you. So, saying all that to say this, it has definitely found, or it's definitely brought a lot of new passion for me. I mean, I love hunting, I love hanging out with my wife, and, you know, with that and the almighty, this is up there in the top three or five, is looking after cows and selling, you know, quality beef to people. So I guess I'll cut that off, but just want to share my story. And if you are interested in trying to purchase some of our beef, we have ground beef available. I have plenty of ground beef, and I will have more steaks. This is May 4th. We took one yesterday, we're taking another one Monday, and this is today's a Thursday. If you are interested in purchasing, you know, steaks, ground beef, roast, ribs, brisket, anything like that, you can give me a call at 478-456-6819, and we will hook you up. We use a USDA inspected, federally inspected processor, so I can ship meat wherever you are. But yeah, like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't seen the hay bombing video, I'm gonna touch base on that next week on how that went. Just to give you a little foreshadowing, there was one pasture that I kind of deemed our sacrifice paddock that I think is going to end up being probably my best one. I had broadcast clover in every field, and the field that we had unrolled the majority of the hay on, the clover is doing, I would say, fairly well. The rest of them kind of looks like a concrete. We've had some unusually cold weather here recently, but I'll quit rambling. And oh, and one more thing. As part of my story, Grant Haddon, the Haddon family has been in this county where I'm located on this land since, best we can guess, 1769. Two brothers got off a trailer, or got off a boat in Savannah, and I guess they hitchhiked or done whatever they had to do to get to Gibson, and We always joke and say we're glad they didn't go any farther north because none of us like the cold weather too much. But we have been in Glasscock County raising beef or raising cattle for the better part of 250 years. Everybody likes to show Yellowstone. I always tell everybody we got the Duttons beat by about 100 years. But yeah, if you like this video or if you like the other one, subscribe to the channel. And if you're interested in getting some good old-fashioned Georgia grown beef, just give me a call. Thanks.